Hey friend, this is episode number 579 of the And So podcast with Taylor Bradford. Let's get to it. Boss Girl Creative presents And So with Taylor Bradford, business and life musings from a successful serial entrepreneur. Each week, you will hear Taylor spill the tea on all things business, life, relationships, health, and everything in between. But don't worry, each week also includes a business nugget that will help you stay on course. And now a throwback to 3-year-old Taylor who inspired all of this.
And so.
Well, hello. Welcome to this episode of the podcast. I'm your host, Taylor Bradford. Thank you so much for hitting that play button. I cannot believe we are at the middle of July. Like, what? It is so crazy. It is so crazy. And every morning, I don't know what is going on with our weather. Every morning I wake up with, I feel like just a complete allergy attack that I've had in the middle of the night while I'm sleeping. I don't recall this happening last year. I recall us having weird weather because, being in the garden, you start really paying attention to the weather, but I don't remember it being this wonky. And here we are. I feel like this episode is going to be like super meaty in the sense of what has been happening in my world. I feel like I've just been a punching bag, life's punching bag for the last couple of weeks. And man, did life serve me up hard last week. And that's what we're going to kind of get into. But let's just find out what's been going on in my world first that's not so punchy baggy-ish. The garden is in its July slowdown. I'm like in the process of, I need to start ripping things out. I do have things that are still producing, but I have things that are really struggling, and it's just because it's July. I'm also really kind of disappointed in my farm stand. And the two biggest changes that I'm comparing to is this year I have a very large Facebook page that I didn't have last year that has been growing since January 21st-ish. And so I have an email list where I can email weekly to my customers saying what's in the farm stand, what my hours are, and then you can also shop by appointment. And I've just been really disappointed in the turnout for that, which is now making me think, do I need to actually be a part of my local farmers market on Saturdays? And so I don't really know if I want to go down that rabbit hole or not, but we'll see. I've just been kind of disappointed in the lack of turnout on the farm stand this season. The house, our level 4/5 drywall finisher, is trucking right along, fixing the sheetrockers, texture mistakes, and his work is beautiful. I'm so grateful to have found him. His work is so pretty. I also was threatened by the sheetrock company last week, so that was fun. And I did not get a chance to finish any kind of reading last week. I did read, I did listen, but nothing was finished, so no books to report this week. And that's really the life updates that I have. I will be sharing a little bit more about the punching bag moments in the business nugget. And you'll just never believe the things that I will be sharing. So that is that for the life updates. I will say, let's go ahead and move into the first segment. Unhinged comments from people on the internet. I was really shocked that the internet behaved itself this week. I have no unhinged comments to report to you. So we're going to wrap that one right on up and move into the next one. Search bar confessions. All right, let's talk about what I Googled this last week. How to check mold spore levels. So we have a customer, a water loss customer, that was gone for 3 weeks and her air conditioner broke and allowed water just to come into her house for 3 weeks while she was gone. So we're working through that. And while you cannot use the word mold with insurance unless you have specific coverage with them and your property, you can't use those words. But because she was gone for so long and the air conditioner system was just allowing all of the water to go into the home, I had a real concern about the possible mold spores, because mildew and mold can set within 24 hours left untreated, which is a very fast time for that to activate itself. Very fast time. And so I was like, man, do I need to be in PPC gear or PPE gear? Do I have to wear face mask? How do I check for mold? Because I've got water meter tests, like tools, but not mold tools, because you can't really do much with mold and insurance. So you can buy a mold test kit. If you're curious, you can go to your local home improvement store. What is the rewind button on Instagram called? I could not for the life of me remember that button. It's just regramming. But I couldn't remember what Instagram called it. Capsule and pod storage, because I got to find those things for this particular customer, because we have to pack her out before I can start demo. And as the insurance put it, it is an extensive collection. I think I'm going to need 4 capsules/pods in order to get the contents out so that I can start demo. The next thing I Googled was, do weeds have rhizomes? I will just remember certain words, and then I'm second guessing myself if I have remembered the right word. And rhizome is one of them. And weeds do, or some weeds do have rhizomes. That's what we kind of call a runner, but it's in the soil. So that is how they chain themselves together, is through rhizomes. And yeah, I was correct. It is rhizomes. And so I put it into a sentence, and then I was like, is that really the right word? Is rhizomes the right word? Yes, it was. So yay me. I Googled, what is an affidavit for lien? So we're going to talk about that in a second. What does a homestead actually mean? Part of this is stemming from watching the reboot of Little House on the Prairie, which I actually did not watch as a kid, but it is really good. The version that they have produced on, I think it's on Netflix, is really good. And so I wanted to know, where did that come from? And what was the initial intent? Because now we talk about being a homesteader, and but do we really know what that means and what it used to mean? And does it still hold the same meaning? Cabin rentals in South Fork, because we're prepping for our Colorado vacation. Allison Arngrim, I don't know if that is how it's correctly said out loud, but my husband was like, I wonder if any of the original Little House on the Prairie cast is making cameos, and one of them did. I Googled the diarrhea outbreak. Yep, I Googled that because I hadn't heard about it until I saw a fitness influencer talking about washing her produce for 20 minutes. And then it just made me think about, my produce is just fine, thank you. I also Googled Leadville to South Fork, Durango to South Fork, Chama to South Fork, because there's trains in all 3 of those locations. We've done the Durango train, but have not done the Leadville or the Chama train. So I Googled that. And then finally, raw milk near me. So I would love to make my own butter. I want to attempt to make my own butter, but I need raw milk or really good cream to do that from. And at my local grocery stores, there's just not really good cream available. And I remembered not actually far from our farm is a raw milk, pop-up grocery store from a dairy that's out there. And so I'm going to go get myself some raw milk. First, I've never had raw milk, so I want to taste it. But second, they also sell their cream, and I want to make my own butter. So yep, that was in my list of Googling. And that wraps up this week's Search Bar Confessions. Moving into the business nugget, I cried to an AI tool last week. Life really threw her punches hard. Like, I thought I was in a season of hard leading into last week, and life decided to serve up even more hard. So I was working on a reel with the new Priestess AI tool that I stumbled upon, and it did really well. Like, within 24 hours, it had 11,000 views across Instagram and Facebook, 18 new followers from it, 27 shares, 115 saves, 65 profile visits. Like, it was a good reel. And instead of feeling amazing about it, it opened up something different inside me. And it's due to the punches that life is serving me up. And it's bringing up feelings of loneliness. And I feel like these feelings, I don't have anywhere to take them to, besides an AI tool that I cried to. And that is a very hard place to be. So not only is life serving me up hard, like, here's a silver platter, hard is sitting on top of it. I feel like I don't even have a place to go get help, which is why I cried to an AI tool. And it's bringing up deep feelings of loneliness that I feel, like I said, I don't really have a place to go vent them to with people that understand just like my dynamic, my orbit, all of these things. And I think part of it is that I haven't yet found the next room because I, have lost the rooms where I felt that I could go share those things. So it's just a deep sense of who can I talk to that even remotely understands me, that will listen and communicate back with depth to help me work through like the here and the now. So I mentioned previously that I am working through a visibility challenge with the girls behind To Be Magnetic, which they have a podcast. It's a really good podcast. Just go Google that. And the visibility challenge is bringing back things from my childhood, specifically a very vivid memory of my mom telling me to stop being bossy after I flipped the light switch off, or asked my friend, to flip the light switch off because I was leading us out of my bedroom and we were going out to play. And I just turned back around and said, "Hey, flip the light switch off," because they were the last person out of the room. And then convincing my drama teacher my senior year in high school to give me a chance to be Grace Farrell in the musical Annie. And then also this podcast audience, you as a listener and the other listeners who have pressed play for the last 11 years and feeling like I have to beg for people to respond back to me, for people to even have a conversation with me. And like all of that, plus the punches. So having unresolved grief with my mom, who I can't solve that with because she passed away when I was 24. And like how this is all like sitting in my body. So let's talk about the punches. Last week, I had a salesperson come back in after being like basically at the ghosting level for 2 weeks. And I said, "Hey, in text, I said, did you get this check from the customer? It's $29,000. Yes. And that's all he said. He resurfaced on Monday last week. Monday? Yes. Monday last week. And I think Monday, everything's going together. Anyways, he resurfaced last week because we have a water claim now and needed to get our water drying equipment into the home to just slow and start mitigation for reducing the amount of potential more damage. And so I realized after the insurance adjuster emailed me that I actually needed to go out there to put my eyeballs on the job because there was very specific information she was looking for. So I went out there. around 7. I didn't leave until 9. And I wanted to report back my findings to the salesperson because he would ultimately be the project manager on the job. So I called and said, hey, these are my findings. This is what I think next steps are. Oh, by the way, I'm on your road. Can I stop by and pick up that check? And I got told no. And I was like shocked, so I didn't say anything. And then he said to me, if I give it to you, then I lose my leverage. Oh, okay. So, you're committing a crime right now. It's called extortion. It's embezzlement. It's fraud. But okay. And so he was like, are you coming to get it? And I said, no, I'm calling Chad. What I should have done is just call the sheriff, but I called my husband. And so all of that was really kind of crazy. I ended up having to go to my customer, ask for another check. I offered to pay for it to be stop payment. And so I ended up with the money. It just kind of spiraled out of control from that moment. And then Friday, my sheetrock company that has refused for also 21 days. Oh, the salesperson held the check for 21 days and then told me no, I couldn't have it. So had it for 21 days on purpose and then told me I couldn't have it. This sheetrock company that damaged my building, damaged 2 doors, ran into my building, and has done just a really kind of poor job at their trade. And we started asking for walkthroughs to fix some of their mistakes. And for 21 days, they did not. They chose not to. Yet now they are threatening to file a lien on my property, which is me doing a lot of research, calling my attorney, all of the things. So that happened. And then also, I believe Friday last week, one of my customers called us and said one of my former salespeople called her threatening to put a lien on her house. And and she's elderly, so that's elder abuse. So I reached out to the police officer investigating the checks. I believe I mentioned that in a previous episode most recently, that I had to shut down my business banking account because somebody attempted to write a check off of my account, made a digital check, attempted my signature, and I thought it was one of 2 people that could do that, considering it was really an attempt at my signature, which means they had my check in their hands to do that at some point. And then there were 2 more attempts, actually, once the account was closed about a week and a half, 2 weeks later, another attempt at a payment and also an attempt at paying off a credit card. And so anyways, I reached out to the investigator on my initial report. And so I'm waiting to hear back because he has not reached out. And I realize he's probably got a lot of other things way more important, but I feel this is important and I need the police to do their job. So, yeah, that's what life has served me up in the last week. And it made me ultimately break down to an AI tool. And all of these punches just set me up to spiral. And so then I'm like, okay, what's the solution? How do I solve this? Because I need a solution. So it makes me just start thinking about all the things. Where in your life have you been right about yourself, but surrounded by people who needed convincing? The shoe might not drop this time, so what if you let yourself believe that? Because that's where I'm at. What shoe is going to still drop? But what if a shoe doesn't drop this time? What if you let yourself believe it, that it won't? Learn to tell the difference between I'm wrong about myself and I'm surrounded by people who haven't caught up yet. When you hit resistance, we automatically assume it's correlated to our worth, which automatically then makes us shrink and wait for permission to bloom, which causes us to rewrite who we are to fit the room we are in. So we have to just do a way better job of stop waiting on the room to catch up to who we are. I want you to audit your life for the places where you are in a convincing phase with someone or with others. And I want you to ask yourself honestly, because this is what I'm asking myself. Am I waiting for their belief to activate mine? Find your witnesses, not your cheerleaders and not your fans, your actual witnesses. People who are already in the room you are walking into, who can see you clearly in real time, not on a delay. Get visible. That's going to eventually produce the right people so you can't stop moving forward. And that's where I'm at. I'm at this place where, dang, if life isn't just serving up all of this hard on silver platters left and right, I start second guessing, what am I supposed to be learning from this? What is this preparing me for? Why does it have to be so hard? Why is it all stacking up against me? What did that strawberry moon open up? And then also, because of the visibility challenge, all of this childhood, and it's not really trauma, but it is sitting in my body as trauma of constantly having to shrink myself because I don't fit other people's ideations of me. And when I have to get to a point of begging, please give me a chance. I'm really good at what I do. Do you know how, I don't even know the right word, immortalizing that is? That may not even be the right word. But you get the gist. Demoralizing. Maybe that's the right word. It's like sacrificing who you are just to make somebody feel comfortable. Why did I have to, after 3 years of proving myself in drama in high school, why did I have to beg to be given a shot to play a lead role? Why? Because I killed it. I killed the role, just like I knew I would, but I had to beg for it. And that is so belittling. Begging to have the podcast audience speak back to me. That is so freaking hard. 11 years of that, by the way. Of having to beg to get people that hit play every single week to have a conversation with me. That really, really sucks. So if you are also, back to auditing your own life, ask yourself, are you waiting for their belief to activate yours? Because there are rooms where people are watching you in real time where you do belong. And they won't delay how they react to you. They won't delay how they show up for you. They will right out of the gate once you get into the right room. Find your witnesses, not cheerleaders, not fans, your actual witnesses. And stop waiting for the room to catch up. This episode is so much about where I'm at. And so these words are really aimed right at me. But if you find comfort in them too, they're meant for you. Stop waiting for the room to catch up. And yes, I know that's hard, but that's where we both have to show up and keep showing up for ourselves. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. I so appreciate you. And until next time, I hope you have a great rest of your week. And like my 3-year-old self said, that is all for this week. Friendly reminder to rate and review my show wherever you are listening. And last but not least, I'd love to hear from you. Leave me an audio message at bossgirlcreative.com/speak. I would love to hear your takeaways, ideas for upcoming episode topics, and your feedback. Thank you again for listening to this week's episode. And until next time, I hope you have a great rest of this one.